Capuchin TV presents PMC Music and Art Presentation 2022 from parish, deanery, and diocese level, which includes folk dance, choral verse, singing hymn, set piece, and Catholic mixes. Tune in on Wednesday at 5 p.m. and on Saturday from 9 a.m. only on Capuchin TV.
A very warm good morning, and you are right on time for the Missions with the PMS live show here on Capuchin Television with me, Sasha Elizabeth. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we managed to bring on board some of the missionaries who are working or have worked in very remote and difficult conditions, just to give us a feel of how it is like to mission in such areas and the challenges that they face. And as you heard, or if you did not manage to follow that conversation, you can get it on our YouTube digital platforms on YouTube and Facebook. Trust me, the challenges are quite insurmountable, and this calls for support from different people in the church and even outside, people of goodwill. Now today we are here to discuss supporting the missions. We need to really hold their hands as they go about missioning to these places, the very places with needy people who really need or who actually need the support in a dire way. So now today I'm in studio with Father John Korir, but first things first, let's get to know about him. Where does he come from, and what does he do? Good morning, Father.
Good morning, Sasha.
I'm glad to have you today this morning.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here too.
Yes. Please introduce yourself to the viewer.
Good morning, my viewer. My name is Father John Korir. I am a Comboni missionary of the Heart of Jesus. I come originally from Kericho Diocese, Litein Parish. And currently I am the mission promotion director of the Comboni missionaries. And also currently I am the vocation director of the Comboni missionaries. Yes.
That's great. What does the MCCJ stand for? Because I know many religions use the initials. What does this stand for?
Yeah, it's true. I think it is the right place for your viewer to know what MCCJ stands for. It stands for Missionary Comboniani Cordi Jesu, which means Comboni Missionaries of the Heart of Jesus. It is in Latin. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So if you didn't know, that's it. At least you get to learn something today. Something.
Yeah. Somebody would see that if I enter in a classroom, lecture room, and it sees the name MCCJ, they think that it is Masters in Cosmology and Christian Journalism. In English.
Cosmology and Christian journalism.
But it is
Missionary
Comboniani Cordies.
As usual, dear viewer, we value your feedback. So drop your comments, your questions on our social media platform. The hashtag to use is missions with PMS, hashtag Capuchin TV, hashtag Sasha Elizabeth. Our number, just to remind you, 0717 424 866. So welcome, and let's get to hear, how do we support the missions, especially the local missions in Kenya? And before we get further to the missions, supporting the missions, tell us a little bit about the Comboni missionaries. Who began this Catholic congregation? Why did he start this society?
The Komboni missionaries were founded by Saint Daniel Komboni. He founded the congregation of the male, that is the priests and the brothers, but also this one was founded in 1867. And there is the Komboni sisters, who were founded in 1872. So now they are celebrating 150 years. Saint Daniel Komboni came from a poor family in Italy. He was born on the 15th of March, 1831. And he heard about the missions. First, he wanted to go to Japan. But when a priest came from the missions in Africa and spoke, he had the love for Africa. And he came to Africa. The first journey was in 1857. And when he came to Africa, he landed in Sudan. At that time was Central Africa, they call it. And he himself wanted the Africans to be the protagonists of the mission. And he said, Africa or death. So he came there, and he died there in Khartoum, in Sudan, having founded this institute.
So this institute was founded in Africa?
Yes, though as it is, he founded it in Verona.
Originally?
But for him, originally, that's where he was also formed. He studied there in Verona. And that is where now, because at that time, in order to found a mission, they had to have the people coming from there, the ones who are prepared. So from there, he founded this institute.
So the first place in Africa was in South Sudan? In
Sudan itself. In fact, he died in Khartoum. Of course, he ended through Egypt, came all through the caravan until Sudan.
Thank you for that clarification. Now, what is your charism as the missionaries, the Komboni Missionary Society?
As the name suggests, first, of course, every charism is anchored. The word charism in itself means the gift of the Spirit. So it is anchored in Jesus. And we talk about the heart of Jesus, that heart that loves, and this love goes towards the poor and most abandoned. So for our charism is that heart of Jesus, the love for the poor and most abandoned, to serve the poor and most abandoned. Yes.
So you do this in different places across the globe?
Yes, we are now in almost 50 countries in the world. First, of course, it was Africa, because for him he said Africa or death. And the motto was Save Africa with Africa. So for him it was Africa, that was the world. Now as time goes by, what happens is there is Africa of that time, which was the need to know Christ. There are also situations now who are in the peripheries, who are the poor and most abandoned. So in those places, we go there. Yes.
What does this statement mean, save Africa with Africa, to a layman's perspective?
Here means that you recognize that there is the seed of Christ in everybody. And there, the African himself, who understands himself, is able to present the good news of the salvation of Jesus Christ to the other Africans. You know, at that time, Africa at that time was in like a dark continent. They did not know Christ, but he had hopes. And that we will say later when the Pope went to Uganda, Kampala, and that is where he mentioned it, and also it was taken later by the Synod, African Synod. So there, it is whereby you recognize that in African, there is the possibility and the capability to be also holy and to be able to present Christ to the other people.
Absolutely. Otherwise, they say that everyone has the potential to make a great impact in society, given the opportunity. So never underestimate a single person's possibility or capabilities.
Yes.
Right, Father Korir, you are the director of Komboni Missionaries in supporting local clergy and religious. Why, or what was the real purpose of starting this docket in the Komboni Missionary Society?
The reality is, of course, with that prophetic statement of our Saint St. Daniel Komboni, and also the call in that time, 1969, by the Pope, that Africans need to reach out to their other Africans. it is being realized. And with time, we know that by now we have almost 1,000 of Kenyans who are working outside Kenya as missionaries. Now, the reality was, before that time, we used to receive missionaries coming to our places, and I hope you know, and most of you know, that when they came, they didn't bother to disturb us much. They came, they were able to build the schools, they were able to help us build the dispensaries. Then now the African church reached the point that she started becoming also a missionary. That she's able now to reach out as a church. So as you go out as a missionary, you reach a place whereby those people in the ground are expecting you to help them, to also make them grow economically, spiritually. And at that time, it needs our support. And I normally tell people that myself, I have been a missionary in Egypt for 10 years after my ordination. But before that, I had missionary experience in the Pokot. And when I was in the Pokot, I was at that time the only African among the Europeans. We had 3 European priests, one from Italy, one from Germany, and one from Spain. And the reality was, when we sit down and we meet together before the year ends, we make accounts of the previous year or that year where we are in order to project for the coming year. And they would say themselves, how do we finance our activities the following year? One would say, my church in Spain would send me 3,000 euros. Another one would say, you send me 2,000 euros. When it reached now the African, now me, that's the time now that I don't have anyone to send. My parish had not yet reached that point to say, we are sending 100,000 to Father John. Now, the time that Africans have taken control and they are the ones doing the missionary work. For instance, you find yourself among the pygmies in Congo, and you are 3 African priests and brothers or sisters. There, they will be expecting you to build for them a nursery school. As our ancestors, those who came from Europe, whom they received the word of God early, were able to help us to grow. They also, those people we are ministering to in the peripheries of this world, they are expecting us to do so. And how do we do it? We do it by engaging now the other people. So it is not quite easy for an African there to be able to do by himself and to make the church grow. We need the material help. We need the financial help. And it comes when the church here locally knows it. So we have those Kenyans who are outside there, our daughters, sons and daughters who are working, brothers, priests. So that's why now, how was it born? We Comboni is now realizing that dream of our founder, of Africans evangelizing Africa and the world. We had to give the tools to our sons and daughters. So we had to say that we cannot concentrate only on the Comboni missionaries. And that is why we had to say every daughter of every son from Kenya needs to be supported by the church who gave birth to them.
Someone would ask, by the time you started this office, there were already some offices that were doing the missionary work. What is this gap specifically that you saw and sought to fill?
We found that because every congregation has a charism, and they also go out, reach out, asking for the support for themselves. As also for us, we rely on the support of the benefactors. But it is not always possible that every congregation, every missionary has that ability and possibility. But also it was a prophetic move, because at that time when we started, though there were other congregations who were working, we knew that ahead there, you can find that there will be Africans in the same place alone, and they might not be able to support themselves, because most of the congregations, they don't earn any income. For practically, we priests, sisters, unless you are working, everything that comes, it goes to the common pool. But you can be able to serve maybe for the food and the rest. So we said that it would be good for us to help each and every missionary to be able to reach out. And how do we reach out? Apart from that also, it was a moment to awaken that missionary mandate and spirit in every believer, every Christian, because we knew already that by the time that we are clocking 100 years in Africa, having that experience of Christianity, we are not a young church anymore. We are a church that goes out, because in itself, every Christian in his DNA is mission. Because Jesus in Mark chapter 16, verse 15 says, go into the whole world and spread the good news. So the world in God is always reaching out, going out. And we had now to say, apart from the missionary who is out, also the local church, the one who is there who can't go out physically, can also reach out through the means whereby we delegate. There is the one who is concretely in the ground, working, but that doesn't mean that he works alone, because he will need somebody else to support him. And now the one who is here in Kenya, who can't go to Congo, will be in Congo delegating the one who is there. And also it takes trust, because you need to trust that the penny that I give out is used well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Father Korir. Now, during our last discussion, we managed to bring missionaries, a priest from Lodwar, a sister from Garissa, is it Marsabit, and then one who had worked in South Africa, in a remote place in South Africa. And they were explaining to us how it feels like to work in very remote places, the kind of challenges that they go through. But due to time, we couldn't actually exhaust every challenge. Could you please help us understand, especially for the benefit of that person who did not manage to see that particular episode, what conditions and circumstances do our brothers and sisters go through in mission lands, the daughters and sons of the soil?
Yeah, as you have mentioned, it's true that we can't exhaust to speak about the love of God that gives that energy to this missionary to be there. The challenges are so many. I give, for instance, for example, when we went to the land of the Pokot, of which it is my beloved land, because it was my first mission, whereby I am a Kenyan. And when I went there, I was asking myself if I'm in Kenya. Because I arrived there, the roads at that time from Kacheliba all the way to Amakuriat was so difficult. You reach there so tired, but happy that you are giving yourself. I was there in Pokot in the year 2006 to 2008. So it's just recently, not so long ago. And I tell you, the moment I arrived there, already the mobile phones were around. But when I reached there, the mobile phone was like a toy. The roads which are there,
no network.
There was no network at all. And then the roads which are there were practically by us, the missionaries. We create roads to reach the. There was even a time that to some people inside, it's called Chapter Pangwan. It took me around almost 1 hour going through the forest. Of course, I stopped the car on the road. Then I go through these bushes to reach where the people are. Another time when I was trying to go there, it had rained, so I could not see the maps. I got lost, so I was around for 1 hour, 30 minutes trying to look for the place. There also the people, they normally survive through the water, the rainwater, which just collects itself in the sand. So we were there also to help them to dig the boreholes for them. So the church was everything. Then I remember the joy of Christ that is in a missionary is really, because, you know, some people would be thinking, how can a young man find himself in that condition? And I tell you, I was so happy that I could go to places. I was leaving the mission on Tuesday and I come back on Sunday. And when I go, there are places I would sleep most of the time on the floor. I had a sleeping bag. So I would just sleep there. In the evening, I prepare my rice. And then in the morning, I leave something for morning to take with tea. And then I just take off to start going to work. I meet people who have never heard of Christ. I went once and I met a certain lady. I have gone all the way, reaching there. We talked and she tells me, first thing I talked about God, she said, yeah, I know that God created us. Why do we disturb him by coming to church? To say that you are coming to a place to meet together. If you are giving some food, I come. And then she asked me and said, "Are you married?" I said, "No." Then she said, "Why, don't you have cows?" I told her, "No, I could have cows." Then she said, "Then why don't you get married?" I said, "No, I'm following Jesus." She looked at me and said, "You are the most stupid man." And you could see in the face, because she could not understand. So there were many times that I slept in the car because there was no house where I went. They have a small house which is built. And with those, we missionaries, we feel happy to see people coming up. We help their children to go to school. It's not that they were not able. Some were able. They were having many cows, but they never saw importance in that. So when we are there, you bring the good news, but you also let these people know tomorrow how to read the Bible, how to be able to conduct themselves. So the challenges were so many. Once, I would give an example that one day I had gone to some place and there was no dispensary in that place. There was just some kind of a nurse. And she had said one child was having anemia, and the parents were there struggling, feeding her with the goat blood, thinking that it will add the blood in the body. I took them to another center, and in that center I left them and I went for my pastoral work, catechism. When I came back in the evening, the child was now growing weaker and she was still there. So I decided to take this child to the nearby place was Uganda, Amudat. So I rushed. When I reached there, they checked, and unfortunately she passed on. So I told the parents, there was the mother, the grandmother, and the father. I said, we go back. So when I said we go back, I couldn't do much than to put the body of the child just in the car with them, and then we came to the side of Kenya. As we were coming, I stopped in some place, and I went to them, and they were asking me, where are we taking the body to? Because for them, it was easy to throw it in the bush and we go home. But I said, yeah, because there, when someone would die, there was no elaborate burial. You just leave the body and go. So I told them no. And then we went, when we came to the side of Kenya, I called one of the catechists who was on the way to the place where I was going. I told him, come with I had some tools in the car, because there you have to have always a hoe in your car. You have to have a panka. You have to have a fork, so that in any time that anything happens, you can create the road. So I called him and we went, and the three of us who were to dig the grave at night was not very easy. And we prayed and we buried the child, and then I continued with them. And I prepared supper for them, and I told them to sleep where I was. The following day, they had to go on foot, because I said, to reach where I brought them from, I would have finished the fuel, which would have taken me back another almost 6 hours back to the mission. And the only place where we could get fuel at that time was the mission. So it was not easy. So I know that many of our brothers and sisters, our daughters and sons who are working outside, they encounter difficulties.
Those who are in need. Quite a horrendous story, dear viewer, but I'm told it's time to take a breather. But we'll be right back in a short while with more on supporting the missions. So do stay with us.
Capuchin TV, your Catholic broadcasting ministry.
The Little Sisters of St. Francis invite you to the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Our Lady Queen of Angels Bahati Novitiate. The event will take place on Saturday, 2nd of July 2022 in Nakuru Diocese. The Eucharistic celebration will be presided over by the Archbishop of the Catholic Archdiocese of Kisumu, Most Reverend Maurice Muhatia Makumba, assisted by the Apostolic Administrator of the Catholic Diocese of Nakuru, His Lordship Bishop David Kamau. Do you feel called by God to become a religious sister? Then the Little Sisters of St. Francis welcome you to the ideal place to nurture your vocational journey. We are an institute of African religious women founded in 1923 and with established presence and apostolates in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and some states in the USA. Our apostolates include pastoral ministry, education, healthcare ministry, legal profession and administration, social work apostolate, catering services, fashion and design. For more information, contact the Vocations Promoter, the Little Sisters of St. Francis, P.O. Box 62676, code 00200 Nairobi, or call 0721 746 503 or 0717 179 509. The Little Sisters of St. Francis, my God, my all.
Abudu miungu wengine. Usilitaje bure jina la Mungu wako. Shika kitakatifu siku ya Mungu. Waheshimu baba na mama upate miaka mingi na heri duniani. Usiue. Usizini. Usiibe. Usiseme uongo. Usitamani mwanamke asiye mke wako. Usitamani mali ya mtu mwingine. Amri za Mungu.
Kupata
amri za Mungu.
Kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza neno sikiza likifuatwa na nambari 738102551.
St. Therese Vocational Training College in Karen is committed to restoring hope and dignity to needy young people through dignified training towards self-reliance. We empower young and men to be active job creators by equipping them with pertinent knowledge and skills in catering and accommodation, food and beverage management, housekeeping and laundry, among other short courses. Support our training programs by sponsoring a needy student at St. Therese Vocational Training. Send your contributions to the paybill number 186298. Use your name as the account name. Or to EcoBank, account name St. Therese Training Center, account number 024320150192592003, or contact us on 0722306030 or 0739309593 for further inquiries. Whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. Proverbs chapter 19 verse 17. Your support will be highly appreciated.
Capuchin TV, your Catholic identity.
All right, welcome back, dear viewer. We are glad that you are keeping us company and you're still following this discussion on supporting the missions. Before we went for a break, you had that short story, a very dreadful one, where Father Korir has missioned before. Now, right now, dear viewer, before we move on, allow me just to go through some of the comments from you. I'll start with Wakoni. Simon is saying he's following. Then we have Betty Lagat, 1,000 lives for the mission at St. Daniel Comboni. That is Beatrice. Nicholas Mbidi says, greetings, Father Korir.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Josephine Cherotich watching from Nakuru, following. She says she's the follower of Jesus. Good to be Jesus follower. All right, keep your comments and feedback coming, and we will make sure we'll try our best to sample some of them as and when the time allows. Our social media platforms, you should use hashtag missions with the PMS. That's on Facebook and YouTube, and hashtag Capuchin TV, hashtag Sasha Elizabeth. Just to remind you, can also send an SMS on our line 0717-424-866. So we move on swiftly with the discussion. Now, Father, before we went for a break, you were trying to explain some of these difficult situations, the kind of challenges you encounter in your mission work. Now, wherever you go, you always meet people who are with their own practices and cultures deeply rooted in them. How is culture and traditions an obstacle or a challenge in mission work?
Well, the challenge about the culture is a two-way, because as I go to meet the other, I'm going with my culture. Mm-hmm. That's why when Jesus was asking, what is written in the law? And then he said, how do you read it? Because as I go to witness Christ, I'm witnessing as John, and I'm witnessing also as a son of the Kalenjin. So when I'm going also, I'm going with my family the way they brought me up. So you meet somebody else who is different. So as you go to meet the other person, I am aware of where I come from first. And I found myself, like when I found myself in Pokot for the first time, since it's not very far from my language, I was doing like correction that it could be like this. So I find the culture first can be an obstacle, but also it can become an enrichment. Mm-hmm. You reach to a place, how you, and even if you give a cup which is not so presentable, in order to show that you appreciate, you take it. You don't say no much. When I went to Egypt, you have to say, if you say yes at first instance, then you seem to be unpolite. So you have to refuse like 3 times. For the other person, the 4th time now you can say yes. Because the person can be just saying, mm-hmm. and it doesn't mean it, and you will put them in problems. So in a culture, just a small gesture like that, you find that when you enter into any culture, mm-hmm. you empty yourself so that you can be filled by the other. So the culture in the beginning is really one of the challenges, because we go as we are, we reach there, and the culture can also make us not to go close to the other person. Also, we have some prejudice about the cultures. As I said in the beginning, I worked in Egypt for 10 years. Egypt is, the majority are Muslims. So when I went there, the first thing was to learn the language, Arabic language. And learning Arabic language, I also learned Islam. That was what took me there also, was to learn Islam, and in the religious dialogue. Now, having learned Islam and having heard of the people, they will say, like, it is a very closed culture, that you can't even walk together with a woman. So once, when I had to go to, my teacher was coming, and I had to show the way home, I was having in my mind what I had been told. And I found myself going ahead, and she was following me from behind. I'm just hurrying And she said, but can you just slow,
Slow
because she
down.
wanted us to. And then we would see also that, like in a culture, at that time when I was there in Egypt, we would see, like, of course, the Muslims, we would believe that they will not see us as believers until it also challenges us. And the challenge comes when one day the father of one of our teachers, who was a Muslim, died, and we went to condole. And as I was coming out, she told me, pray for me. And that was touching, because I understood that I took a point that she has gone more ahead to believe that the God whom I believe in is the God who answers prayers. Then the other cultures, you see it there, and there is food, which is different from the other types of food which is, you eat in your country. And there it takes you a step and evangelizing your mind and neutralizing your mind in order for it to accept the way things are. So in the culture also, you can find that there is a demarcation for the males, the female, and when you go in, you will say this is like inhuman to this gender, while for those people, they find it that it uplifts them. And to make them understand, and as I was giving the example of that woman, the old woman, when I went, she couldn't imagine that someone who has a sound mind can not marry.
Especially in the African context.
Exactly. So
All right.
she couldn't believe.
Thank you, Father Corey. Now, how can we as Christians, having had all these challenges that missionaries face in their while serving others and God, how can we support, encourage, and appreciate our missionaries in these mission territories?
First, I would say towards this support, first we need to understand who we are. When we understand that, as a Christian, when I was baptized and I received Jesus, I got from that very time the possibility and the ability to spread the news. When the disciples on the day of Pentecost received the Holy Spirit, they started speaking in the languages that everybody would understand, even if they might have spoken in their own language. But when it was reaching the ears of the person listening, they were listening in their language. So now, each one of us, wherever we are, it is our duty as a baptized, when we say baptized and sent, as a baptized, to do our part. And doing our part means I play by supporting the one who is there. More so, I'm delegating my missionary activity, concrete missionary activity, unto him. So I would say there would be 3 ways of support. The first support is the prayer. Because even if you give to the missionary material support and he encounters those obstacles in the mission, he goes to the mission where he has to go through the river, which is infested by crocodiles, but they will have to move from one to another. It happens, those who are in Sudan, even in Latin America, people have to go from one place to the other using the boat. So it can be discouraging, and especially when you don't see the fruits. You are in a place for a long time, you have spoken about Jesus, and you don't see the fruits. So the prayers of the people who are with you, just like the gospel of today, Jesus healed the paralytic because he saw their faith. And it's not that he saw the faith of the paralytic, but he said he saw the faith of those who brought the paralytic. So with the faith of the local church, every Christian praying for that missionary who has gone to the mission work, that is the support. And I want to put that everybody is a missionary. Because coming out from your home to the next place, the only difference is that another one uses a boat, another one uses a plane, but you walked on foot to the next person is a missionary. So there, first is prayer for the person. Then, after the prayer, then it comes now the support financially. Whereby, in this support financially, you also take it for yourself. the work of the mission. You know, in Europe, for instance, I was in Italy, and you could go and you find missionary groups. Those were the ones who used to send money for the mission. They were not waiting to be asked. They had already they are prepared. When the missionaries come, they said, this is it. Now, nothing can be done without the financial support. As I said, we don't earn. As missionaries, we are there, but the work that we do necessitates this finance. So I worked in Egypt for 6 years as a parish priest in St. Joseph Samalek. And there we were doing the work for the refugees. We had Eritrean refugees. So the predecessors, those who had come ahead of me, had founded a school. And this school, we were running it with the local contributions. And I was privileged to work with them in 2009 as I was studying there. And then when I went and I took over in 2014, the school did not continue from 2013 because there were no funds. But there were more refugees from the Eritreans who are coming to Egypt. So what I did was, again, to source funds locally and start also getting in touch with our friends. Thank God I was in Europe, so I was able to communicate with some friends who were able to help us. But also from Kenya, we were getting that support. So we started from class 1, which was grade 1, until grade 8 when I was leaving. I had already asked somebody to accommodate them in Form 1. And it was my joy to see the school coming up. It was already going to 200 students. Yeah.
Okay. So now, thirdly, besides prayer and financial support.
So for the finance, I would like again to say much, because this is where my heart is. This is where I go to do. For this finance, I would say since this office started of mission promotion and for the appeals, here we have the countries which that money has gone to. So I don't know whether I can go ahead with this first for the viewer to get to know how we do it, or
how you ensure the funds reach the required destination.
Exactly. So first, for the projects which we have helped already, we have a few here because there are other years which are not in this pamphlet. What first we do is we identify the missionaries, the Kenyan missionaries working in difficult places and working abroad. When we have identified them, we ask what they do. And when we ask what they do, that is now the time that we get in touch, we have their names, and then what we go was like now last week, I was in Matisi Parish, Kitale Diocese, for mission appeals. The money that we collect normally on the feast of Christ the King, we go to a diocese, and there in that diocese, we give the checks of the money that we have collected to the missionaries, the Kenyan missionaries working abroad. So what we do is that we normally pass through the congregations. So we never doubt the work because they will give us the feedback. It is through their congregations that we reach them with this help. So the congregation will send that money with the channels that they have. If it is the Comboni missionaries, we send through our provincial houses, and the support, we tell them, the support goes to so-and-so. There, he or she will be able to say, we build this nursery school, we help this. So the money reaches, and they have done good work. We are proud to say that in Ethiopia, the money which was sent, it was there to help the catechumens. In Zambia, we helped Women Polytechnic. In Ghana, there was a dispensary. In Malawi, we had also for catechism. In Amazonia, primary school. In South Africa, Father's House. In Madagascar, Taiwan, Sudan, Zanzibar. We have also Sudan, Congo, Eritrea, even Kenya for the slums, Brazil, Uganda, Zambia, name it, there are many other countries. So you see how the money that the Kenyan person gave, whether it was 20 and 13, it has even reached Brazil, where sometimes we expect them to send us some sugar. But we were able to bill because there the missionary was able to receive.
The single coin that you contribute towards supporting and promotion of the missions reaches that far. All right, now tell us briefly now in a few seconds, why do you go to parishes making appeals, and how can a Christian contribute to such appeals that you do? Is it only for Comboni missionaries, or from whom categorically?
We go to the parishes. Like this year, we had planned to visit almost 49 parishes, but it was not possible because of the logistics and also coming out of the COVID era that was supposed to reach the present plan. We go to these parishes. One, our main aim is to awaken in the parishioners, in every Christian, the missionary spirit. To know that I have a duty to go out of myself towards, you can go to places and they will tell me, we are building a church. But when I talk to them and I tell them, yeah, building a church here is part of our work, but also there is a mission work out. So I will go there and I explain to them about their role as a Christian, having the missionary mandate. Then, when I speak there, how do I go? I can't go by myself. So I have the permission or from the PMS who arranges everything. When I reach there, that money that we collect will go not to Comboni missionaries, but to every Kenyan missionary from any congregation. So it's quite different from the past traditional way where I, as a congregation, I do for my congregation and my people. I go there and I do in the name of the Comboni missionaries, but more so in the name of the church, the Kenyan church. I appeal to the people and what they collect at that time, then we share, not for Comboni missionaries, but for every daughter, every son of Kenya, whether it's a priest, a brother, or a sister who is working outside Kenya, or even sometimes other difficult places in Kenya, and we ensure that it goes. So it's not for Comboni missionaries, but for how do the people contribute. On that day when I go to the mission, I go with the envelopes, and I present to them that envelope with a stamp of mission appeals, and they would collect like in a second collection. Of course, we rely on the parish priests who are really doing good work. They do the groundwork. When we reach there, I go alone. And when I go alone, I can't do the whole parish. So first, I let the parish priest know what we do. And he, with his agents, arranges and goes, and they do on my behalf. So I can do maybe 3 masses, while the rest have done. And they will come with the envelopes, those who are having cash. At that time also, since Kenya also is moving, those who are not having cash, they also pay or contribute through the Bay Bill, which is here in this pamphlet. So I normally carry these pamphlets, which have been printed, and they are able to send into the M-Pesa or Pay Bill, which we give to them, which we have it here.
Thank you, Father. Now, allow me also, I can see there's some feedback from those who are watching. We have Father Albert Chirchir, where it is following. Let us be part of mission promoters through prayer and financial support. That is Father Albert Chirchir. And then we have Anne Otuto. Good morning, Father Korir.
Good morning,
And
Anne.
then we have Simon Rabwet. He says, Father Korir, may the good Lord continue to bless you as you make others smile. That is Rabwet from Olengroene. Is it
Thank
the
you,
right pronunciation?
Olengroene.
Olengroene.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay, all right. Time is really running so fast, but could please tell us briefly, how does the Pontifical Missions Society assist your office to achieve your missions and goals?
First, I would like to thank the Pontifical Missions, but also the KCCB, under which the PMS lies. Practically, in order for me to reach out, it is the PMS office who we discuss together how many parishes are we reaching out. And they are the ones to write the letter to the bishops. So they will ask permission from the bishops for me to go and do the appeals. And they also coordinate because the BMS is well organized. So they have also the PMS directors in the dioceses. So in times that I have some challenges, they are down there. So the PMS make it possible. We are also in consultation with them to find the place for the distribution of this money. So like now we are in talk with the PMS director, Father Lucidio, on which diocese are we going to give. So it is not the Comboni's affair. It is the church affair under the PMS that they are able to support us and to direct us.
Thank you very much. Now, Pope Paul VI in 1969, while in Kampala, he said, and I quote, "Africa, be missionaries to each other." How can these words be realized in our day-to-day activities and circumstances?
Yeah, in summarizing it, I talked about the way to support, and I talked about two, and I said there will be three. So the first one was prayer, the second was finance, and the third one is me going. So it is you as a Christian offering yourself to be a missionary, to go. So being a missionary, when Pope Paul VI talked that time in Uganda, he meant clearly that as an African who is a Christian, you can't sleep when you have the good news. You need to go and speak it out. So, and the person that you will go to is the one near to you. So you become a missionary there to the other African. Of course, he was saying this while Comboni had said it long time that save Africa with Africa.
With Africa.
So it was under the ecclesia in Africa. In ecclesia in Africa, they even made it clear. So it is a sign that now we are mature. When a child is young, everything is being done when he's small. But as he or she starts moving, he's the one to reach out. So for us, we are already a mature church. We have been told that we are like a dancing church, just enjoying ourselves around here. No, we need to carry out that news, that good news that we have experienced in Jesus. So we can't sit back. We need to go out.
You're right about that, Father John Korir. Now, how can we remain relevant as Christians or as a people? How can we remain relevant, real, and true to the mission of Jesus Christ in our world today, considering it is a very dynamic, ever-changing and fluid world, a world which is filled with cultures, a lot of dynamics and situations that tend to antagonize the Christian values?
Yeah, the world is changing, but God is unchanging. God is always merciful. So one, we remain relevant if we become people of prayer. Prayer means we are always connected with God. That Jesus always becomes the intention of what we do. Because we don't become, there are many NGOs who will give bread to the poor. The difference between me and the NGO is that the NGO gives because of philanthropic attitude or sympathy that he has. Myself, I'm giving because of Jesus' intention, my master, who himself gives himself. And we are the body of Christ that is broken and given out. So we will always remain, if we are in prayer in connection with Jesus, we are able to be relevant every time, even in a changing world. When it changes, we don't close ourselves. In fact, we become more merciful to the world who need God more than ever.
Thank you, Father. Now, our time is up, but as it is the tradition, we get to hear the parting shot from our guest. And first of all, I'd like to thank you all, especially your feedback. It's been quite immense. Thank you very much for following. But allow us to give our guest a few seconds to give his parting shot before we close the discussion. Father Korir.
Thank you. First, thank you for allowing me to be here. What I would say is that loving Jesus and manifesting the love that Jesus has given unto us is a privilege. It is not a merit, but God himself has given us that possibility, and we cannot light a lamp and put it under the table. Let us go out and be the light of this world by being truthful. And when we are truthful, we are able also to reach to the hearts of many. The world needs you. The world needs me. And when we go together, we don't show ourselves to the world. We take Jesus to the world.
Wow, that's quite hefty. Thank you very much, Father John Korir, for creating time for this discussion. We really appreciate your wise counsel and insightful information about supporting the missions, the local missions specifically. So thank you very much, and may God continue blessing you, as Simon Rabwet says, as you continue to touch people's lives through mission work. All right, that is Father John Korir, who is MCCJ. He is the vocation director at the Kumboni Missionary Society, and also the director in charge of supporting local clergy and religious in Kenya. So we really appreciate that he had to create this time to enlighten us more on how to support and promote the missions, the local missions. And that's the picture that is painted, and the stories that are told. It's not just a movie. There are really experiences that missionaries go through, especially in very remote, far-flung places, which calls for support. We need to join hands to be able to espouse and appreciate, as well as support them as they go about serving. Now, allow me at this point to thank the team behind the scenes, because as usual, I'm never alone. There is a team behind, a formidable one in this case, that works tirelessly to make sure that this comes to you smoothly. I'll start with my camera operators, who have been Felix Juma, and I also had Cosmas Omondi assisting him. And our sound operator has been Eric Otieno. On the visual mixing desk, we had Samuel Cherubor. Thank you, Sammy. And on the transmission desk, we had none other than Michael Kibandi. Thank you, team, for your concerted efforts. And I would also like to appreciate the efforts and the coordination of cooperation of Father Bonaventure Lucidio and Vincent Shumira, who Father Bonaventure is the National Director of the Pontifical Missions Society, so he is the organizer of this particular show, in liaison with Father Vincent Shumira, who is the part of the Capuchin television network. So as we wrap up this discussion, dear viewer, I'd like to reiterate the statement, Save Africa with Africa, and Paul VI statement in 1969 while in Kampala, Uganda. Africa, be missionaries to each other. So as Father Korir said, we can support missions in three simple things: spiritually through prayer, financially supporting them, or as yourself, giving yourself out to reach out to those who are in need. As a missionary, we are all baptized and sent, so we are all capable of being missionaries and touching lives and helping those who are in need. So as you do this, as a missionary, in whatever capacity you hold, remember to embrace the spirit of ecumenism or interreligious dialogue. Until next time, goodbye. My name is Sasha Elizabeth.
Capuchin TV, your Catholic identity.
The Little Sisters of St. Francis invite you to the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Our Lady Queen of Angels Bahati Novitiate. The event will take place on Saturday, 2nd of July 2022 in Nakuru Diocese. The Eucharistic celebration will be presided over by the Archbishop of the Catholic Archdiocese of Kisumu, Most Reverend Maurice Muhatia Makumba, assisted by the Apostolic Administrator of the Catholic Diocese of Nakuru, His Lordship Bishop David Kamau. Do you feel called by God to become a religious sister? Then the Little Sisters of St. Francis welcome you to the ideal place to nurture your vocational journey. We are an institute of African religious women founded in 1923 and with established presence and apostolates in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and some states in the USA. Our apostolates include pastoral ministry, education, healthcare ministry, legal profession and administration, social work apostolate, catering services, fashion and design. For more information, contact the Vocations Promoter, the Little Sisters of St. Francis, P.O. Box 62676, code 00200 Nairobi, or call 0721 746 503 or 0717 179 509. The Little Sisters of St. Francis, my God, my all.
Fire,